So Firearms Policy Coalition just sought writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court in the Holloway case. Let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump in this video, if you think that it's time for the Supreme Court to take up one of these Second Amendment cases, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to thank a couple of our sponsors, the first being Thorson Custom and the other being Got Your Six. These two companies do a lot to support this channel. Thorson Custom sells California compliant parts and features that we in the state of California benefit from, and Got Your Six has a Second Amendment centric app that you can actually get from them. So these companies do a lot to support this channel, and if you'd be interested in taking a look at them, I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So I have some pretty big news for you guys today. As of today, December 3rd, 2020, Firearms Policy Coalition filed for a writ of certiorari in the Holloway v. Barr case. And this is the first Second Amendment case where a writ is being sought since Justice Amy Coney Barrett has been put on the Supreme Court. So this has huge significance, and it has a lot of impacts, not just on the specific area that this case involves, but it has very important impacts for our Second Amendment rights as a whole within the US. And again, I talked about it before I joined Firearms Policy Coalition, and it's one of the reasons why I joined Firearms Policy Coalition is because we here are doing what we actually say that we're taking your money for. We are taking your money, ramping up legal actions to actually establish and fight for your Second Amendment rights, not just in specific states, but within the entire US. And this case Holloway proves that to you. This was a case that has been a long time in the works. Firearms Policy Coalition has done a ton to work up this case. They did all the legal research in-house. Joe here at Firearms Policy Coalition did a huge research, deep dive in this. He went all the way back to the 700s, 700 AD, establishing the historical context. The whole appeal process was done through Firearms Policy Coalition as well. So all of this is hands-on with Firearms Policy Coalition. And then now that a writ is being sought up to the Supreme Court, Firearms Policy Coalition is also taking those funds and bringing on the best of the best to actually get this case before the Supreme Court. They brought in Eric Jaffe, who is a good friend of Justice Clarence Thomas, who clerked for Justice Thomas, as well as the law firm associated to that has a lot of individuals who are familiar with the justices. So we are getting the best of the best to actually get these cases before the Supreme Court and actually establish our Second Amendment rights. So like I said, this is a huge deal. This is the first Second Amendment case where a writ of certiorari is being sought since Justice Amy Coney Barrett has been put on the Supreme Court. This case also deals with prohibited persons, which if you're familiar with Justice Barrett and her dissent in Cantor, that case dealt with a prohibited person's rights. And so this case is very much in line with the type of things that we've seen Justice Barrett address in the past. But this case has so much more significance than just that, than dealing with prohibited persons. This whole case is pretty much the game. This is what we have been wanting to do from the start, what Firearms Policy Coalition and everybody else within the US has been wanting for a while. It is for the Supreme Court to take up a case, hear a case, and the whole goal of all these things is to actually get the Supreme Court to once again establish how courts going forward are supposed to scrutinize these issues and scrutinize cases relating to our Second Amendment rights. Also very significant for this is that FPC is in a lead role in this case. So again, FPC is hands-on. They're actually filing cases that are actually going to benefit everybody in the US. They are not just taking your money, they're actually putting your money to work and fighting for the things that they said they would. So I'm not going to read to you guys the news flash relating to Holloway v. Barr. If you guys want to read that for yourselves, I'll put a link down in the details section and it'll take you to FBC's website where you can read some news flash. But essentially, Holloway v. Barr, a writ of certiorari has been sought. It deals with a nonviolent misdemeanor, and we are now seeking for the Supreme Court to take up this case and finally hear another issue relating to our Second Amendment rights and actually address these issues relating to our Second Amendment rights. And another thing I want to note to you guys is this Holloway v. Barr case is not the only case that's in the works for FPC. There are other cases coming now where more writs of certiorari are going to be sought from the Supreme Court. And again, trying to get these cases before the Supreme Court, putting your money to work to actually fight for our Second Amendment rights here in the US. So like I said, this is huge news. This is the first Second Amendment case where a writ is being sought since Justice Barrett has been on the Supreme Court. I highly recommend that you guys donate to Firearms Policy Coalition. Again, as a full disclaimer, I am now an attorney with Firearms Policy Coalition, but like you can see from this video, the reason why I joined FPC is because they are the ones who are actually doing things to fight for our Second Amendment rights. They're actually using your money. They're not just giving it to people outside of FPC. They're not just throwing your money away. They're not just sitting on their hands or taking your money, but they are actually using your money to bring cases, to sue people, to bring cases up to the Supreme Court to actually establish and fight for everybody's Second Amendment rights here in the US. So I highly recommend that you guys donate to FBC, give us more ammunition so we can bring up more cases like this so that we can go and sue more people. And if you'd be interested in doing that, I'll put a link to FBC in the donate page down the details section so you can look at that as well. I also highly recommend that you guys like and share this video because the hope is that the more noise we can make about this case, the more publicity we can give this case, the more likelihood there would be and more pressure there would be on the Supreme Court to actually address this case. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways you can do that is like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment, also spread the word about things like this that are going on in the US. So as always, thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.